can we meet you? Who is Bolaji?
Good afternoon. Thank you for coming. I'm excited to have you here and to share my story. My name is Bolaji Akinfolarin. I'm married. I'm a Christian. I love God and I love business and money. Very important. Backstory to me. I've always found myself one way or the other, being in business. So I lost my dad at a very, very tender age. That was in 1997, with two elder sisters and my mom. She never got married after that. So it only fell on me to start to hustle at a very, very young age. Right? As the only guy, I just needed to always find my way around because there was so much for her to do. And I needed to just help one way or the other. So from way back, I've always found a way to just bring something to the table. That gives you a little backstory about me. Okay, so the career path, I would address two things here. I studied management and accounting at Overcame University, but there's a backstory to that. My dad was a chartered accountant before he died. So because we lost him quite early, I always said I wanted to be an accountant, just to kind of, keep the legacy and all that. But getting into the university, I'm like, what am I doing? It was like, what is this? I never enjoyed it. But I just finished, had a 2-1 and I finished. So I'm like, okay, this is daddy's certificate. I need to look for my own way. So first degree management and accounting at Overcame University. I have never studied, never practiced accounting one day. Second degree marketing. So the career path is before I got into banking. After the service year, I started the laundry and dry cleaning business in my environment and got a lot of customers. So I've always been good with talking to people, getting people to do stuff. It has always been my thing. So I used to say, there was something I used to use, there was a cartridge I used to use then. The name of the dry cleaning service was First Class Laundry and Dry Cleaning Service. And I used to say, Chief Laundryman, then I'll put BSc Accounting. Right? So to give the feel that it's not just any laundryman, right? But then after that, after NYSC, I did that for a couple of months. I was doing well. I had some staff. Got a job with Access Bank. Then I started marketing for real. I was in Access Bank for a couple of years. From there, one of my bosses became the MD of Keystone Bank, and he was like, let's go to Keystone together. So we moved to Keystone Bank together. I was there for a year as well. One of my customers did a startup, set up a startup, Freetown Waste Recycling. So they recycle rubber tires into rubber tires. That's a story for another day. But then I was the national sales manager there. From there, I moved out and I'm like, okay, I think I'm done. So that's the story to me. Second degree is in marketing, MBA marketing specialization. Right now, I'm also doing project management, Rome Business School. So that's what we have. First, I need to state that people jump into businesses. It doesn't really happen like that. There is a step to it. I'm forever grateful for my professional career, right? It taught me a lot, right? And we shouldn't take that off the table. Now, back to the question, what got me into business? At what point did I know? I've always had this analytic mind trying to solve problems. So even in school, I had a printing business, I had projectors, I was giving out to fellowships. I used to come to Lagos as many times as often to do printing. departmental handbills, flyers, and all whatnot. So that process has always been there, right? But when did I decide to fully do business? So the funny story is the company I was working with, that's Freetown Waste. I wasn't getting what I really wanted, so I sent a query to my boss. Yes, and I gave them an ultimatum that if I don't have this, I've talked about this, you guys are not doing this. If I don't have this on the 20th of December, I'll be done. I will just push. But I knew that mail was, whether I get those things or not, they were going to just hound me because nobody sends a query to their boss. But then I sent that mail. I just wanted to shake things up there. I'm proud that today those things I talked about, they are already doing them. But that was my exit. Now, the story was, I was supposed to get married in April the following year, and we already had plans and everything. And in December, I decided to stop work. I didn't tell my wife. I didn't tell my mom. Nobody goes into marriage without a job. But it was at that point I'm like, let's just do it. Whatever happens, happens. So it was, I think, a month to the wedding. I told my wife that see what's so cool. She couldn't believe it, but I'm like, don't worry, I like this risk. I would find something for myself. We are good, at least for the time being. I didn't even tell my mom until after the wedding, because parents, they would never allow you to do this kind of thing. And then we pushed into business. That was when we set up Doki2Data. Doki2Data at the time, we're just trying to put our hands on so many things. A bit of FX transaction here and there. We didn't really have the footing at the time. But because of my network from the banking sector, we still had a few things we were doing for customers. That was just putting food on the table. Then I had this idea, Champlay, that's another company. Champlay is a game tech that allows people, play games from the comfort of their phones, have access to several playing partners, and they can earn as much rewards as possible from playing these games. So with that, I set up a team, a strategy team. I got an IT company. I had no tech knowledge whatsoever. I set up an IT. I got an IT company to help out, give them the project. They messed it up. Spent a lot of money. So at that point, I was forced to go back to school to do tech. Yeah, so that's the tech side. So what we now started doing with Doki2Data was, because of the marketing experience, we started doing marketing consulting, traditional marketing, not digital. Marketing campaigns, marketing surveys, marketing research, brand activation, product activation, the real traditional stuff, marketing strategy. And then we now added technology to it. Now, with the knowledge from Champlay and having to try to set it up, I went back to do tech, got that knowledge, have the team. So now we just do web design, web development, and a few other things, mobile app development and the like. So that's Doki2Data. The last business we do or we have is Champs Finance. So there's no way we have my kind of experience in banking and the way the fintech space is. We have Champ Finance. What we do is we do loans, we do payments, and we do thrifts. We have the loans running already. We hope to be able to expand into the other things in time. Travel loans is our typical proof of funds, right? We help people with funding for their travel. We have food loans. We are distincting ourselves from the kind of loans that we know. Food loans, we offer loans to customers not as cash but as food items. So typically that's what Champ Charms Finance does. We hope to be able to have a Charms group, pretty soon. So those are the businesses, and that's how we are where we are. Okay, so for me, I already gave a backstory which I can pick up from, right? Coming out of a good career, very beautiful paying job, nobody asked me to leave. I was earning well, at least for my age. Had everything, had a driver, had all those things. But then I'm like, I don't think this is enough. I think I need to do something else. I think I can be better. At that point, there was this reawakening in me, right? That's on one part. On the other part, I think my biggest resilience story is Charms Play. We spent a lot of money. I had the idea. I was good with strategy, marketing, operations, right? I didn't know anything about tech, but what we wanted to do technically is largely technology driven. So we had a lot of difficulty. These guys took monies from us, wasted time, wasted effort, but we still had to keep going. But the good news is the fact that I had to go back to learn didn't stop at me learning. It gave rise to another business. It gave rise to another income line, which we use today, which we have like a tech. So we built apps for organizations. We have Centrified app. Centrified app is a gate access app. It runs in some estates right now. We have a church mobile app specifically for churches. We have done digital transformation for many organizations. So, I just needed to push myself. It was really hard, to go back to learn what I knew nothing about. But at the end of the day, it had to pay off, and it is paying off right now. So that's my biggest resilience story. Okay, so it's a very thin line. Honestly, it's a very thin line. I will still give the example I've been using, right? This Charms Play thing. Naturally, I should have dumped it, because most times we just want to cut our losses and just move, right? I should have dumped it, but I'm like, I can still get something out of it. Now, I could have said, okay, this is what we've done, it's not working, these guys are not doing it well, let's probably get somebody else. But then I had to just push for that a bit. But now the challenge is, how do you differentiate between resilience and coping? It's different in different situations, right? However, I would say that largely, I don't want to be too spiritual, but I would say that the real defining factor is being able to hear from God and being able to speak to God and listen to Him. A lot of times we pray, and prayer is communication, and that's one of the mistakes people make. Communication is speaking, listening, right? When you pray, you are speaking to God. You should also wait for Him to speak to you. So I think, for me, largely, I'm able to differentiate, when to just call it quits and keep going because of that factor, that God factor in it. The lessons learned is, first is, there's always a God factor. So there is a place of being good at what you're doing, and there's a place of grace. But grace does not fall far from God. In fact, it's all from God. That cannot be taken away, right? The second thing is just dare to be different, right? For me, I would say I would call myself a crazy risk taker. I like that thing that everybody is running from. But what I've realized is that you see what everybody is running from, or if you look at those who are doing so well, perceived doing so well, they dare to do the things that people never wanted to touch, right? So when everybody's like, that thing is too difficult, that's where I want to go to. It's a lesson I've learned, right, over time. And the typical example is me leaving everything to push into tech, right? So that's second lesson. Third lesson is the power of people. Very important. Some people call it networking, some people call it socializing. I don't drink. I'm not the saint. I used to, but I stopped. It's about 3 or 4 years now. Yeah, I had a drink last. But the point is, some people will say, "Oh, what's you can't socialize without those things." You can actually. You can. Now back to the point. People, right? Angels do not fall from heaven. People are actually the ones that help you, achieve a lot of things. People would open doors for you that you can get yourself. People will get you into doors that will take you years and years and years, to be able to get to. But what you do when you get into the room, that's another ball game entirely. But then, just treat people nicely. Show love to everybody, because it always comes back. There's this story that when I was in banking, a cleaner in the office sealed a deal that the branch manager has been trying to seal for over 7 months. Backstory: the cleaner and the customer they've been prospecting attend the same church, and the cleaner is the fellowship head of that MD they were prospecting. See the divide. So the MD that they never could get into his office was good morning sir to the cleaner in church. That level of, and the cleaner in the office was good morning sir to every other person, right? So there was a meeting, and the guy, the branch manager, was frustrated and he was ranting. The cleaner came to pick something, and he heard him say, "We've been working on this. What are we even doing? We've been working on this thing. Everybody's just not putting up their games right." And the guy heard the customer's name. He went back to the branch manager and was like, "I know him. We attend the same church." And the branch manager was at church on Sunday. The cleaner just introduced him. The MD was like, "Anything you want me to do, sir?" He was talking to the cleaner. You understand? And for somebody, that was like the turnaround, and everything got sealed. So networking is how you treat people. If he didn't treat the cleaner well, if he wasn't nice to him, it wouldn't have opened. And from what we know, from the information we have, that particular account got the branch manager promotion severally. So networking is key. More importantly, how you treat people, even the cleaner, the driver, the security man. Those things are so important. First misconception is it's a pack of roses, right? Or it's a bed of roses. It is not. So if you have this "it's green on the other side" mentality, change it, right? You have an employment that pays you whatever happens, but here what you do is what pays you, right? Now my advice is, there is a process. The mistake we have now is people want to jump that process, and a lot of times they miss it. You don't climb the ladder from the top. You have to go through a number of things, and like I said earlier, there is an advantage to a professional career. There are things you learn that stay with you for the rest of your life. For me, I like to advise a lot of people, try out something with somebody, get groomed a little bit, then build whatever you are building, over time. In fact, your perspective to the world changes from a professional point of view, you get to see things differently, and just start. Right? Everybody wants it perfect. Want it to, perfect, the perfection syndrome. That's what makes it never ever happen, right? So just start. You make a lot of mistakes, pick yourself up, start again. It can only get better. There are situations I found myself in, and I'm like, oh, I think this is going to end me, but one way or the other, we'll come out of it and we'll keep pushing. So just start. Just start. There's only one direction, right? You either fall forward, right? Chances that you fall backward, very unlikely. But by falling forward, it means you're picking up yourself, learning and doing better. So that's my advice to business people, regardless of what they're doing.